So initially, the intent for this was to have you guys watch me do the startup and then also go through some CMS profiles I wanted to test. But the video editor that I'm using, which is free, doesn't allow for such a large video file to be imported. So um, basically, you're really only going to see the startup procedures, and then you're going to see me take off and start a right-hand turn, and then unfortunately the video is going to end. So, but enjoy anyway, and I hope you like it. All right.
We're going to come down here to this panel. We're going to turn on our APU generator and turn on our electrics, connect the engine generators there. See our battery comes on. Then we're going to go over to our APU panel, turn that on, get our APU warming up. You can hear that turbine spinning in the background. Then what you're going to want to do is before the power is fully connected, you're going to want to turn on your CDU power as well as your MFDs and put your heads-up display into test mode. As you can see, it is there. So hit enter to start that test going. Then we're going to go ahead and turn on our two MFDs. We're also going to uncage our backup attitude indicator. We're going to go over here, we're going to turn on our anti-skid. We're going to go over to our lighting panel. We're going to turn our nav lights on, use the pinky switch on the throttle, which is on the back side here, to turn those lights on.
Altitude.
Alright, looks like that's finished running through its cycle, so then we're going to click Load All. That'll start loading the pre-programmed flight plan, dismiss profiles, radio frequencies, everything like that. We can go ahead and close the cockpit too while we're at it. Always kind of like watching that come down. Turn our mirrors off just to give me a couple extra frames. So it looks like our heads-up display is finished running through its test procedure and everything looks good. No failures found. So we're going to hit enter and then I'm going to click to take it out of test mode and make it active. So it looks like we're done there. So we're going to bring the CDU up here. Click INS and then align so that our inertial or internal navigation system starts aligning. We're going to go over here and we're going to pull up our TAD. That's our tactical area display. I prefer using MGRS coordinates, but you can keep it in lat long if you want. Punch in 37, set that as our own ID, so we're good there. We're going to go over to dismiss. These are all of the onboard weapons, and the GBU-12s and GBU-10. Those are laser-guided bombs, and we need to set up those profiles to do what we want. So we're going to put them into CCIP mode, or CCRP mode, which is continuously calculated release point. But we're not done yet. Let's go. We have to go into change settings. Going to punch in 10 seconds for our laze time. That means it's going to start lasing 10 seconds before impact. We're also going to turn on auto laze. That way we don't actually have to watch the countdown timer and make sure we're lasing on time. So we're going to save that. That sets up our GBU-12s. Then we're going to go down here to our GBU-10 and we're going to do the same thing. Set it to CCRP mode and then punch in 10 seconds and then auto laze on. Now you can't see it, but it's not just click and then 10 seconds. I have the CDU keys, which are all of these over here. I have these all mapped to my keyboard so I can just type normally. Alright, so then we're going to go back to stat. That looks good. We are actually going to put this in nighttime mode because it's a little easier to read. On the display here you can see the flight of 4 F-18s that took off to go and take out some SAMs. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's one right there and another one right there. So another thing we have to do is we have to turn on our radios. There's 3 of them in this aircraft. So we have to turn on that one and then program in the frequency for Tonopah test range airfield, which is what we're currently at, so that's programmed in. Now to start up the engines, we go ahead and call air traffic control and request startup.
Hog 1-1, request startup. Hog 1-1, clear for startup.
Alright, so we're clear for startup. Oh, by the way, this right here, this is the countermeasures system panel, a CMIS panel. That is what I just turned on and put into standby mode. So now that we have permission from the tower to start up, we're going to go over to our engines panel, and we are going to start our left engine motoring. So we just flick that switch, and then go over here. We see our N2 RPM gauge starting to move. That's what we want to see. We can look back here. We can see the left engine starting to turn. Now what that's doing is it's pulling bleed air from the APU, which is actually located right about there in the left engine nacelle. It's pulling air from that and pushing it through the engine to make it motor. So with that fully up to speed, we go over to our left throttle. We take it out of idle cutoff mode and put it into the idle position, and then flip the switch to start. Now you see the exhaust gas temperature starting to climb. Also, you see INS nav ready has started to blink. That means the internal navigation system has aligned. So we go ahead and click nav. That sets it to main navigation. Turn that off. And then we go down here and we put the nav in ED mode. Now we have our flight plan. So now we move that switch down to flight plan, and you can see our flight plan has appeared on our TAD. So now, with the left engine started, we start the right engine. So we start motoring. You can see the RPM gauge starting to move. Also, I almost forgot, we need to turn on our stability control system. This is going to assist us in general flight maneuvers as well as extreme flight maneuvers. It will also stabilize the aircraft when the first trigger detent is pulled, basically holding the aircraft in position while the gun fires to prevent the nose from rising because of the force of that gow. So now that that engine's motoring, we move throttle 2 up out of idle detent and go to start. So now the right engine is starting up. You can see the engine temperature starting to climb, which is actually right there. Alright, then we go down here, we arm our ejection seat, we go here behind the throttles, and we turn on our radar altimeter and our EAC. Your EAC is basically another level of stability assistant control. Alright, so now that that's all set, we are more or less ready to taxi. Aha, we still have our APU on. Also, got to turn on the oxygen. Your pilot can actually pass out if you don't. So we disconnect the generator, like you just saw. Go over here, turn the APU off, turn the taxi light on, and we are good. Now the last thing we do before we start taxiing is we do a flight controls check, make sure they are free and clear. Another thing we're going to do is we are going to pull up our ground speed here. This just kind of assists in taxi. Your normal, we are going to silence that off. There we go. The average ground speed for an A-10 is 40 knots, so I usually try and keep to that. So now that that's all set, let's check our right wing. Aileron moves free and clear. Rudder seems to move free and clear. We go over to our left wing. Aileron moves free and clear. And our left rudder moves free and clear. And if we crane our necks, we can just barely see the elevator moving there. Alright, so we are good to go. I would call the tower, but screw it. We're going to turn on our nose steering, and we are going to start taxiing out.
Clear to taxi to runway 32.
See, look at that. He clears me anyway. What a nice guy. Breaking all the rules, but clear to taxi. Now, in this mission that I have set up, there's actually a lot going on. There's a Russian base about 70 or 80 miles from here, and the actual objective of my flight is to drop the copious amount of bombs that I'm carrying on that base to destroy it. And there are F-18s and soon-to-be F-15s flying over there to eliminate the surface-to-air missile threat, and also to eliminate the air-to-air threat in the form of a flight of 4 Su-27s. The A-10 is a great aircraft, but it does not do very well against other aircraft. So I think we're going to do a short field takeoff here. This runway is pretty long, and I don't feel like taxiing all the way to the end anyway. So we are going to put on the brakes, and we are going to turn here. Alright, now on our way to the runway, we are going to put our flaps into the maneuver position. We are also going to make sure that the trim is centered by clicking that button there. And then we're going to go over here. We're going to turn on our anti-collision lights. That beeping is the RWR. It detects radar signals from other aircraft, ground threats, and basically displays them in a way for you to be able to see based upon proximity and perceived threat level. Alright, so here we go. All lined up. We're going to set the brakes. Throttle up to 80%. Both engines look good. Push it all the way up. Stabilize. And off we go. At 70 knots indicated, we're going to turn off the nose wheel steering right there. And then we are just going to keep going until we reach our rotate speed, which is about 137 knots or so. There we go. So then we start pulling back on the stick, and she'll come up when she's ready. There we go. And gear up. Flaps up. Alright. And we are airborne. So now, if I was actually flying the mission, I would be executing a right-hand turn to come around to head towards my first waypoint, which you can see displayed on the heads-up display there as the fence point, fence in. Instead, what we are going to do is we are going to put the autopilot in alt mode, which basically just holds our altitude level, and we are going to set 30 degrees of bank and turn our autopilot on. She'll stabilize herself. Alright, so now...
Well, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry I couldn't show you everything I wanted to show you, but limitations of free software and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, till next time.